So recently, we have gotten the Prismatic Evolutions ETB reprint along with a 151 reprint of the poster collection boxes. So in this video, I just want to do an overview of the products that have recently gotten reprinted, talk about reprints, and kind of what you could theorize with what we're seeing here with the reprints and what is Pokemon doing. So first here, let's just talk about Prismatic. The Prismatic ETBs I talked about yesterday. Prices from this reprint really haven't dropped at all. Cheapest listing is from Pete Football on eBay. This listing actually was taken down for a little bit, and it's now back up. So if you want to purchase, you can purchase. This is the price from after the reprint. So kind of says some things. A lot of things you could take away from this. Distributors either upcharging too much, where the margin for them to really undercut what the current market price is doesn't make any sense. So they'll just maybe like this person charge a tiny bit under market. Demand is too high, where they're like, okay, it's going to sell anyways. Who cares? I'm just going to list it around market. Or you could say that they're not printing enough. So there's a lot of stuff you can take away, and that's kind of what I want to talk about at the end here more, and sort of talk about what is Pokemon doing. Why are these reprints seemingly not really doing much to a lot of these products? So yeah, if you want to buy this, it's still available for $130. Not really much of a discount, but that's the reprint we've seen for Prismatic Evolutions ETBs. Remember when people said that this was going to go to MSRP and all these sorts of things with these reprints? It is far from that, right? Literally nothing changed. And if you want to buy a case, this is the cheapest case on eBay, $13.85. So you're paying $138.50 per ETB. So you are paying a little bit of a premium, but if you want the case, then you can pay an extra little bit of a premium, like about $100 premium total. It's like $10 more. So if you want to do that, you can. And this is the cheapest listing that I was able to find. And when you look at TCG Player, you can see literally nothing happened. Like, I'm very shocked that literally nothing changed with TCG Player with Prismatic ETBs after the reprint. Like, you would have thought that, okay, this reprint, maybe prices would have dropped at least $10-20, right? Literally nothing happened. So very weird to see. I was expecting this reprint to drop prices to maybe 110, 120. Nothing happened. Now, I want to show you guys something interesting though. So when you look at the supply, it's so weird. This box has really not hit 145. I don't think there was ever a point where it's really touched 145. It has gone up, I believe, to 141, 142, 143, and then just gets dropped back down to like 140 and then 130. Like, if you look at this chart, you can see what I'm saying here. It went up, to 141. It dropped all the way down to 135, 140, drops to 130, goes up again, drops down, goes up again. This is so strange. It's like it's like a force field around the like 150 mark where it peaked at before. Let me just get it up here. So right here, where it peaked at 150, there's a force field. I'm telling you, I don't know what it is. Like, look at this. So this is the release, right? Dropped to like 100, then it went back up, and it's just really strangely, it can't hit that price point again. But I feel like, with this reprint, it could be a calling for some people, maybe hoping that a reprint would come and crash prices. And since it didn't happen, maybe more people are going to buy this time around. And maybe this is going to be the leg up we're going to see for Prismatic. I think it's possible. I've been calling this and talking about it for probably at least a month or two now, and it hasn't happened. But maybe this reprint and people seeing like, wow, nothing really changed, maybe it'll drive sales up further. Maybe we'll start to see prices move. But Prismatic just overall really hasn't been doing much. But I want to show you guys the supply here. So we're getting sales volume on average the past week, a little bit weak, but yesterday 70 boxes were sold. But on average, if you take out this portion last week, on average around 50 to 70 boxes are being sold. Like, pretty good sales volume. So when you're looking at the supply here, it looks like it could potentially get up to 150 soon, but I'm telling you, there's a force field around the 150 mark. It's really weird, but let's just look at the supply before it hits 150, because that's when it would break its all-time high. So there's 6 boxes for 140, 7, 11, 14, 16, 17, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Then we're at 144. 31, 34, 37, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 54. We're at 145 now. So I say 54, 55, 63, 65, trying to, do some generalization here, 75, around, what would this be, around 100, around 110. We're still in the 140s, so 110 boxes. Okay, this is when we hit 150. 110, 120, we're about 120 boxes. I don't know if I did my math right? We're about 120 boxes away from this hitting 150. Now, as prices continue to go up, sales are going to drop off. That's, it happens. So if you look at that though, that's not that much. 150, 100, what did I say? 120, 130 boxes, whatever I said. That's not that much. If you really take into consideration, the past sales, that could just be like under a week. Obviously, people continue to list, but I seriously feel like this time around, things could change, and we may just continue to see prices going up because I think this time around, sales volume might be a little bit, higher at this price point because people know the reprint happened and it didn't do anything. So I think it's possible. Maybe this time around we'll see it go up. But like I said, there's that invisible force field. It doesn't want to go past 145, even 150. Like, it doesn't want to go up, but maybe it'll be different. Who knows? But next here, I want to talk about the 151 poster collection. Not a big fan of poster collections. If you guys know, at one point I had Prismatic Evolutions posters. I had a bunch of them. I sold them all because I had evidence from 151 that these posters really were not a great long-term and really not a great investment, just overall long-term, short-term. They don't really do much. So I'm like, okay, I can just make my profit. I already have a ton of Prismatic. I just sold them all, and I'm kind of happy I did. And I think 151 here, looking at the poster collection and the price it's at, kind of speaks why Prismatic posters are probably one of the worst Prismatic products, maybe other than some of the mini tins or 2-pack blisters. But yeah. Poster collections, not very good of a product, and they did get reprinted for 151. So you can see the cheapest listing, which is from Pete Football. At one point, I think there was a bulk discount on this, but it's gone now. It's at $33. And if you look at where these were before the reprint, they were at around 30, like mid 30s. Even before the reprint, they actually did already drop. Like the reprint happened around here, but they did drop. But at one point they were at around $40. Like, these never really got super expensive. Yeah, the posters are just not really that great of a product. Even with this reprint though, it's not like Prismatic though, like the ETB, where like, okay, like buying on this reprint could possibly make sense. Poster collections, I feel like if you look at this, data right here, and you look at the past year, right, and you see sort of, how it's performed, you see the percentage. Compare this to the ETB and any other product. This is one of the worst performing products. Even on this reprint where it's dropped a bit, it's really not worth buying. Like, I'm not buying any of these at $30. Even if you can get it like cheaper, like, I don't know. The posters just don't move that well. They're not that great. But they did get reprinted, which is really strange. I don't know why Pokemon is reprinting poster collections. Why are they not reprinting other products that could possibly, drive prices down, like booster bundles? Or like something like that. Like, I don't know why they're reprinting posters. It's a very strange thing to me, but they did reprint these. Prices did go down, more than the ETBs did for Prismatic. And you can see there was an increase in sales when they did drop in price. But yeah, I mean, posters, not really much to say. It's not really that great of a product. But you guys don't really care about this either. So let's just, move on. So now just moving on to, the other reprints that I think they've already happened. I think they're just slowly dripping into the market. Paldea Evolved. The reprint, these got reprinted, really haven't done anything. Literally, look at this. Really nothing has happened. Surging Sparks, same thing, past month. Really nothing, it's just been sort of the same. Obsidian Flames, you can see, past month. Really hasn't done anything. All these reprints, you can see, really not doing much, which I'm going to talk about here. Twilight Masquerade, really not doing much. It was part of that whole reprint. And Paldean Fates, you can see, these ones actually did drop a decent amount. These did get reprinted, and you can obviously see that. They dropped from $60 all the way down to the low 50s. Now lowest listed is in the high 50s, so they seemingly have gotten bought out. But, to summarize, sort of what to take away from these reprints that we've seen so far in Scarlet and Violet. We have yet to see a reprint really crash prices for anything, right? If you even go back early on in Scarlet and Violet, like what got reprinted? Scarlet and Violet base was the only example I could say where things really crashed because you could have bought them for $80. But other than that, like in this market, in this strong market where Pokemon is supposedly printing at maximum capacity and everything, we're not seeing anything happening. Like, seriously, the ETB reprint really should speak volumes to people. Like, okay, Prismatic Evolutions, obviously, they put their attention to it. They reprinted the ETBs, and nothing happened, right? So it could speak, a multitude of things. One being that they didn't print enough, right? That could be definitely a possibility. Two being that it's just too strong of a set. And like mentioned, basically, I'm reiterating what I said in the beginning of the video. Three being is that distributors are just making the prices high to the point where these stores really aren't going to make any money if they sell for under market. And you take all those factors together, any of them being the case, like, where are reprints going to actually affect prices for strong sets? I don't know what Pokemon is doing. Are they really printing to capacity? Are they not? It's really hard to say, because I feel like recently we have gotten all these reprints and we really haven't seen any crashes that people always talk about, right? And it's really strange. And I don't know if there's ever going to be a time we see that. Is Pokemon purposely maybe not crashing prices? They're reprinting some of these things, but they're not printing to the point where it's like crazy, or is there just too much demand? It's really hard to say. But whatever the case is, the fact of the matter, and what you actually got to know, is the prices aren't changing, right? And I feel like until we see that point of prices crashing, it speaks that just overall still the market is very strong. I feel like if we do get to a point where a specific set, let's say they reprint Journeys Together, let's say they reprint Destined Rivals, and we see those prices starting to really crash, I feel like that's when we could speak, okay, maybe this market's getting a little bit weaker, and Pokemon really is turning up the printers. But so far, all of these reprints that we've seen recently, some saw some small dips, like the 151 poster collections, the Paladin Fates booster bundles, but let's be honest here, those products out of all the ones I showed you here are not the most popular. But you look at the other, popular stuff, the Surging Sparks, booster box, Prismatic Evolutions, ETBs, all those other booster boxes, prices literally have not changed at all. So reprints seemingly are not doing anything. I don't know if they're ever going to do anything until we see some dramatic pullback in demand. Just in this market, reprints have continuously proven to not do anything to prices. And I feel like when we had, people saying with the Prismatic Evolutions ETBs that they were going to go to MSRP and they were going to get printed to ground, there's a good amount of them. What happened to that, right? I don't know where that came from, but obviously it wasn't very true. Literally nothing has changed. So just want to talk about reprints, the recent ones we've gotten, and how it just speaks that this market's still very strong, and that reprints aren't really crashing prices back to MSRP like some people think. So that's all I want to say. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.